We want to bust the myth that stretching your hamstrings is going to help you fix your back pain. So it is a common misconception. You've probably heard it from your physio, your chiro, your osteo, or either you've seen it on a YouTube video or on Instagram, that if you have back pain, you need to stretch your hamstrings. And whilst part of that is true, your lower back could be working overtime because your hamstrings aren't doing their job. Stretching alone isn't going to fix the problem. You think this myth is true because you have tried stretching in the past and you get some temporary relief. You know, it might last for 5 minutes, it might last for up to an hour. But the problem is once you go and start using your hamstrings again or bending forwards, your hamstrings tighten up again and your back gets sore again. So if stretching isn't the answer, what is? The problem actually is that your hamstrings have forgotten how to lengthen and contract whilst keeping your lower back nice and stable. And so what happens is your brain tells your hamstrings to lock down and stay tight so that you don't have to put excess stress on your lower back. But we all know that isn't working because you still got back pain and you're watching this video. So instead, we want to teach you how to lengthen and contract your hamstrings whilst keeping your back nice and stable. And so really the only way that you can do this is with a hip hinge exercise. So we want to run you through a couple of our favorite hip hinge exercises that'll progress you through from being on the floor right up to standing so that you can start to teach those hamstrings how to stretch and relax whilst also keeping the back nice and stable. So when we're talking about a hip hinge, we want to be able to move through our hips and bend forwards rather than bending forwards through our lower back. And so one of the simplest ways that we do this, if you don't have a lot of sensory feedback or you don't know how to differentiate between your hips and your lower back, I love to use my hands as an extra proprioceptive or sensory feedback tool. So we can grab our thumbs and we pop them on the tops of our ribs, and then you can either grab your index fingers or your middle fingers and pop them on the fronts of your hip bone. And so from there, we can just keep them on, and then as we bend forwards, if those fingers move closer together or further apart, we know that we're not keeping our back stable and that we're tending to move through the back. And then if they stay nice and stable, then we're moving through the hips. So if that one's really tricky for you to do, we can break it down and do it in a simpler version. A regressed version of the hip hinge is we can do it in a half kneeling position. So from here, we just want to push the hips back and forwards, back, forwards. As you get a little bit more range, you can actually really stretch out that hamstring, push the hips forward. So we're just getting used to the hips moving forwards and moving back. Then we can progress it up into our standing. And finally, we can add a little reach. And so by adding that little reach, it starts to teach us how to bend forwards and pick up stuff, or how to bend over and tie our shoelaces, for example, whilst moving through our hips and keeping our back nice and stable rather than bending forward. So I hope that clears up for you how moving through your hips and stretching and relaxing your hamstring is actually the long-term solution to fixing your back pain, and why stretching simply doesn't work. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, comment. If you found this useful and you'd like to find more stuff from us, please hit the subscribe button. Also, if you would like more information, why don't you check out our blog article on why stretching your hamstrings isn't fixing your back pain with the link below.